see the presentation right now. Yes, I will. Oh, I hope everything is okay now. We are going to talk about the ways to form student success in English lessons and how it is possible to do from So, a successful student is a person who does the tasks well, solves the problems, and has good results. I hope you do agree with me, because in my opinion, this statement is correct not only for a student, but also for an adult, because if the adult is a successful person, he or she does the tasks well, solves problems, and has good results. I think you do agree me. And today, I would like to find out how can we form a successful student. You do know that according to Ukrainian typical education curriculum, there are 10 competencies which will help our students to become successful people in their future adult life. So you do know them, but I will remind you. There are 10 key concepts, but today we are going to talk about 8 of them, because the first key concept is competence is communication in native language. And the second key competence is communication in a foreign language. So it is quite natural for our science, for English lessons, that we communicate in English, and we also use our native language to communicate with pupils. But what are other key competencies? So the first one is mathematical. Of course, it looks a little bit strange, English and math, what can be common in these two subjects. But believe me, we have got enough math at our English lessons, and I will show you the examples of it. So the second key competence is natural science. Next one is digital competence. Then learning to learn competence, initiative and entrepreneurship is the next competence. Then social and civic competence, cultural competence, And finally, ecological literacy and health. Of course, these competencies sound a little bit different in Ukrainian language, but I tried to adapt them to the English language so that they would sound not so long. Well, today, so we are going to talk about key competencies, how can we use them at our English lessons, and how these competencies can help our pupils to be successful and to develop necessary skills which will help them to be successful in primary school, and of course the same skills will be developed in secondary school. It is necessary to mention that motivation is extremely important. You know that before our webinar, I received a question about motivation and how to motivate our pupils, our students in secondary school and also in primary school. And that's why I have decided to cover this question and to give some information which I consider to be important. And this information also helps me at my school with my students. Well, how can we motivate our pupils, our students in primary school and of course in secondary school? Well, first of all, in my opinion, it is very important to give clear instructions. You know that pupils do not like reading instructions. And when you ask them to have a look at exercise number, blah, 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 page, blah, 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 look, they do not read instructions. I think it is very important to teach students to read instructions because our aim is to prepare them for final exams. When I start talking about final exams in primary school, my students smile, look at me in some strange way, and they say, oh, it will be long. It won't be soon. We have got enough time, but still it is really very important to make them read instructions so that to develop this habit. And it often happens that they do not read instructions and they do not listen to instructions of teachers and they do exercises in their own way. So it is really very important. Well, it is good to create friendly atmosphere so that kids feel relaxed, maybe not relaxed, but they feel interested and they don't feel frightened. I think it will help you to involve your students into the lesson, which is the next point. So involve your students, give them different tasks, make them work so that they couldn't have any free minute. Well, I always try to make my lessons fast, intensive, and full of information so that students don't feel bored. They feel involved, they feel busy. It is very well for them and for me, of course, because they have no time for doing different bad things like talking or playing or something else. And my primary pupils always say, oh, our lessons are so fast. English lessons are the fastest. We would like to have them every day. And it's a pleasure for me when I hear their talks. Well, Allow your students to work together. Cooperation is a great thing, and they learn to deal with each other, and they learn to find compromises, and working together is really good, because that's why I use pair work in primary school. And when the students are fourth year learners, it's also good to use group ways of work. Yes, so they work in groups. The groups can be big, small, 3, 4 and more people, and we often organize different kinds of competitions, so it is team work. Well, make learning fun. It is good because games are extremely helpful at our lessons. They make pupils remember some things very quickly without any effort. So if you repeat the same grammar structure many times, if you repeat some words many times, so you will remember them better, and it helps to make our lessons fast, and everybody is involved, and everybody enjoys the process. Of course, there is the question of discipline, but it is good when you start playing games from the first year of their pupil study, because this will teach your pupils to behave in the right way. So, and it is also good to not only to play games, but to organize different kinds of maybe quizzes. It will also make your lessons unusual and interesting, and it helps to maintain the motivation. So use different materials. You know, only textbook is not very interesting. Flashcards are good, and different kinds of audio recordings are also good, and different kinds of maybe videos are excellent, and your books and other sources are interesting, because if you change your lessons just a little, yes, your pupils react to that, and they find these changes interesting, unusual, and it keeps them motivated too. And finally, praise your students. It is very good to have some rewards for good work. Marks are a good reward, but not always. You know, you can make your own set of rules in the classroom. For example, before the situation with COVID, I used to have some system of rewards for my students. I started this system when my students were the fourth year learners, and I continued it in the secondary school. For example, the pupils who have got best marks during the week can have less homework for the weekend. And this will help a lot. They tried to do their best during the week so that not to have a lot of homework or not to have homework at all for the weekend. Or, for example, you can offer your pupils some other things, like those who work very well during the week can choose the person to sit with during the next week. Or maybe some other kinds of rewards. This will help you, and it works really well. So now I need to tell that all the exercises, all the examples that you will see today have been taken from the textbook Start Up for the 4th year learners. And now we will have a look at the exercises and the competencies which can be developed with the help of these exercises. It is also important to say that the form of exercises, the types of exercises are important, because if these types of exercises are similar to those which will be in the secondary school, it will help you to prepare your pupils for the secondary school, and it will help your students to be successful in the secondary school. I mean the types of exercises like reading, listening, speaking and writing, different tasks like multiple choice, true, false, dialects, writing exercises. So I will try to show you as much as I can according to our topic of the webinar. So mathematical competition. You, as I have already told, a lot of English teachers are surprised to see this type of competence in the curriculum. But what does it mean? Mathematical competition helps your mathematical competence helps your pupils to solve different kinds of tasks, like logical tasks, not only tasks which deal with numbers. I like this exercise, which you can see now, because it's a great opportunity to develop logical thinking and to encourage your pupils' talk. You can see 4 pictures in each line, and the task is to find the picture which is wrong. And here the answers can be different. For example, the line number 1, you can see 4 pictures which show different scenery, yes? And the answer is the second picture is wrong, because the 3 others show the weather. But maybe some of your students will say that picture 1 is wrong because it shows cold weather, and other pictures show warm weather. It is not really a problem to choose the wrong picture. The idea is to encourage your pupils think logically and to prove their choice. So they need to explain why they think this or that picture is wrong. I like it because sometimes the answers are very unexpected. Well, the next type of skill which mathematical competence trains is the development of communicational tasks. So here you can see a dialogue about shopping. It deals with numbers, and also it encourages your pupils to solve the communication task. Well, next is some kind of diagram, not diagram, but the kind of scheme. What does it mean? It means that your pupils need to look at it and understand the meaning of the words always, usually, often, sometimes, and never. So this also mathematical competence. Well, also, this is a kind of a riddle which deals with numbers and with solving different communicational tasks. So as you can see, mathematical competence is really very important. Next is natural sciences. So natural sciences develop skills to speak about different natural phenomena phenomena and to develop a positive attitude towards nature and develop the importance to think and to care about nature. And here your pupils need to describe weather conditions. It also develops communicative skills. Well, this is the example of the exercise which will encourage your pupils to compare different kinds of natural phenomena. And finally, I like story time lessons because they allow to discuss different problems. Here you can see the example where children would like to have a picnic, but they see dirty environment, polluted environment, and they make a decision to clean it up. And after listening to this story, you can organize a discussion for children so that they can develop their opinion about the situation, and it will develop their skills to be successful too. And one more example of exercise to describe different types of animals and to speak about nature. Well, this is the example from the workbook, and here you can see exercises to storytelling, also to make your pupils more confident in speaking about environment and to develop their skills to take care about nature. Digital competence is really important, and if our pupils are so good users of different devices, you can use it to make lessons more interesting and to keep their motivation as well. So you can ask your pupils to make a film about some kind of activity, to present this film and to tell what it is about. Also, there is a task when your kids need to write something for Viber chat. This is also digital literacy. And finally, I need to tell that your pupils can also use interactive tasks which are on the platform of publishing house Roanoke. These tasks have been developed for every lesson of our textbook, and your kids can enter the website and do these exercises and to see the result which the platform will give them, and to make sure about their knowledge on every lesson, and at the end of the unit to have some test. I think it's also a very good idea. Well, this is one more example of interactive tasks which are on the website. Learning to learn is a very important thing because it teaches us, our kids, to use the textbook as the source of information. Not only the textbook, but it is important to teach our children to use different sources of information. But when they are primary school learners, it is not very easy for them. So they can use different exercises to produce their own sentences, dialogues, and any other kinds of activities. Here they need to use the table to make up sentences, and of course they have the right to choose from. Here is one more example where they need to make their choice and to use the ability to learn and to use the textbook as the source of information, because they can find some rules in the textbook. And once again, I like these types of exercises when you need to introduce some new vocabulary to your kids. It is good to do with flashcards, but in my opinion, it's a kind of a traditional way. And if you have no flashcards, what to do? This exercise is very helpful because they read the sentences and they match the sentences with the pictures. It also teaches our kids to learn. And a very important thing is self-assessment. Self-assessment gives your student the opportunity to understand what they know about the topic, if their knowledge are good, not very good, and it will teach your pupils to understand what to do next, what to refresh, revise, if it is necessary or not. So they read the sentences and they color the stars according to the skill, so well or very well. And I think it's also very useful for estimation of their knowledge and skills. Initiative and entrepreneurship. This type of skills help to develop the ability to start conversation, to start collaboration, to develop creativity and critical thinking as well. So here you can see exercises which have been developed as the social network chart, where children communicate with each other. Who works with our textbook know that the idea of the textbook is that Ukrainian children communicate with the children from Great Britain with the help of different social media. They send email letters to each other, they chat with the help of their mobile phones, and they also make different phone calls, and they in this way they interact. So this is a very good idea to develop communicational skills. And here is the example of email letter, but it has one interesting zest. So you can see that some words are written in an unusual way, and it is the challenge to your pupils to guess and to write the words correctly, and then to read the letter, and as the example, to produce their own letter. Here is the example when the children need to write their own letters and to develop their communicative skills in this way. And this example has been taken from the workbook. Okay. Development of creativity is really very important for successful future, because this ability helps us to solve different kinds of problems in an unusual way. So the pages we are creative, which are at the end of every unit in our textbook, will help your children. They can use different ways of solving this task and of preparing different kinds of projects. Here are just examples. You see, these photos are also the instruction how to do this project. The instruction is very clear, and your children don't need to read long instructions. They just look at the photos and do the same, or maybe they will choose another way and they will prepare another type of project, maybe not with pictures, but they can take photos with the help of their mobile phones and make some posters, for example. It will also be very interesting. It depends on you as a teacher, and of course it depends on your pupils, which way of producing this project to choose. I think that we always have lots of choices. There are many games in our textbook, and here you can see one example. I also like these types of games because if you have some free time during the lesson, or if you feel very tired after communication with your very active students, you always can offer them the task like that. You use this exercise, or maybe you can write down the words on the board and you tell your pupils to make up as many sentences as possible for limited time. The limit of time can be different, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes. And in this way, you train different kinds of skills. Firstly, you develop their communicational skills, because producing of sentences means that they develop communication. Also, you train grammar, you train word order, which is important for successful studying, and your pupils are very busy, and they also use your imagination and creativity to make sentences longer, shorter, more interesting, about different types of topics. So I like these exercises very much. Social and civic skills. They help your pupils to make their own opinion about different things, and also they push your pupils towards the collaboration, and this is the example of how to develop communicational skills and develop cooperation, collaboration. So and use peer work, for example, or team work, or group work during your lessons. It is interesting, but sometimes, of course, it is noisy activity, but believe me, the results are really good when your kids move around the classroom, talk to each other, and you tell them, please, no Ukrainian, no Russian, only English, and they try to do their best. And of course, if you offer some reward at the end of this kind of activity, they will be happy, and you will be even surprised with the result. If you do it regularly, your pupils learn to communicate, and they understand that it is necessary for good result. Again, storytelling. Storytelling helps to develop personal opinion about different situations, and after listening to the story, you can discuss it with your class. You ask your pupils questions, they express their opinion about the situation, and they develop their critical thinking in this way. One more example of storytelling, and you can see that at the end of this page there are questions that will help your pupils to discuss the story. And now cultural skills. What does it mean? Cultural competence means that your students need to be ready to talk about Ukrainian people, Ukrainian culture, and to learn more about cultures all over the world, and to be tolerant to these cultures. Here is the text which tells about Christmas. Christmas in Ukraine, so pupils are able to talk about Christmas in Ukraine. And also there are texts about Christmas in Great Britain, and April Fool Days text describes different traditions in other countries, not only in Great Britain and Ukraine. I think it is very interesting and educative. And also there are examples of exercises which introduce Great Britain to our pupils, and they teach our pupils to respect traditions, not only of Ukrainian culture, but also traditions and culture of other countries. And here is the example of a chart when Alenka tells about the traditions of celebrating the 1st of September in Ukrainian schools. Well, ecological literacy and health. You know that this type of competence should develop skills to take care of nature and to keep healthy lifestyle. You have already seen the examples of exercises which help to develop caring attitude to our nature. And here is the example of exercise which will help to maintain healthy lifestyle. You see different health problems, what is good, what is bad, and in this way you form the positive attitude to healthy lifestyle. One more example of exercises. So your students need to choose and say which is good and which is not good, what they should do or shouldn't do in the situations which pictures describe. And again, project work. It helps your kids to make the right choice between healthy and unhealthy food, and also develop their creativity. Games. You know that games are very important, but sometimes we don't have enough time to prepare lots of games for our students, and they like games. Personally, I like games which do not require long efforts and don't require lots of things to play. But there are some games that have already been designed. They are in our textbook. You can find games at any lesson, at every lesson. So every lesson contains games and the instruction how to play them. Of course, it doesn't mean that all the games are great. It depends on you and your students. Some games are great and your students will ask you to play them again and again, you know. Some games are maybe not very interesting for them in different occasions. So this is the example of a game that everybody enjoys. Your students can play it in pairs, in small groups of 3 or 4. For this game, you need dice and counters, and they move the counters, do the tasks, and this is a good idea to revise grammar structures, vocabulary, to develop cooperation, to develop their speaking skills, and of course, positive attitude to each other and to work in the team. One more game. I have already told you that I like these types of game when you have got different words and your pupils need to make up as many sentences as possible. So here is one example, one more example of this type of game. And chants. Chants are great. And here is, you can see the example of a chant when your pupils need to tell the rhyme, and they can also produce their own chants by changing the underlined words to those which are given in the boxes. And it's always great because your pupils are involved into the process and they create their own types of chants, and they are very proud of it. And this is the game which can be as a quest game, London quest game, a quiz, and you can use these sentences to organize peer work or maybe a teamwork. It will depend on you, on your choice, on your aims that you have, and it will help your pupils to keep motivated, involved, and busy. And now I would like to have a look at the chat. If there are any questions, you can ask me now, because we have got some time for it. Well, if you have your own ideas about how to praise your pupils, please write me. It will be really very interesting for me to read, and I will try to use them at my lessons. So now, if you have any questions, you are welcome. Well, I do not see any question. Does it mean that everything is clear? I hope it does. Okay. Again, yes, have got some technical problems. So I think that the development of the competencies which have been introduced will be a strong bridge from primary to secondary school, and the development of these skills will help your pupils to feel more confident in secondary school. So I hope that the types of exercises you have seen today will be useful for you, and you won't be afraid of these 10 competencies which are given in our typical educational curriculum. And we will clarify all these points. At the end of our webinar, I would like to show you the quotation, so which I liked very much while preparing for our webinar. I found it and I think it's great. Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. I think it is a very good quotation, and we need to remember about it when we work with our students. Well, I can see one more a question. Are these work with children that have problems with socialization? In my opinion, if you have a problem with socialization, this means that it's not only the problem of a teacher. I think you also need to use the help of psychologists if the problem is so very big. But if you start working with your kids from the very first year of their study at school, there is no problem with socialization, and there is no problem with speaking English. They don't feel frightened of speaking, and they are not afraid of communication and collaboration, and they feel just very comfortable at the lessons, believe me. Well, thank you for your question. I see. Thanks for your comment. I don't give home task in a written form when the students are very active for the weekend. Yes, me too. I even when the students are in the secondary school, I give them the right of choice. I say, if you are very good students during the week, you can choose your homework from the exercises that I have given to the class. So they choose themselves which to do or which to leave alone. All right. If there are any other questions. Thank you for your comments. It was a pleasure to be with you today. I hope to meet you at our further webinars. All right, I wish you to have good weekend, and I wish you to have a lot of energy for your students and for your work. Well, thanks again for being with us. Goodbye.